Hello everyone. So on the 1st of January 2024 we woke up and there was a couple changes in the world of retro video game collecting and just video game collecting in general. First thing was CEX suddenly decided to charge us an absolute arm and a leg for our retro video game manuals, which now is slowly sorting itself out and it's all started going down a little bit like we thought it would. The other thing was the side hustle tax. Now this is something that was getting quite a lot of attention when it first sort of got announced, and it sort of fizzled out a little bit, and I haven't really heard much about it in the realms of video game collecting. Now a friend of mine asked me if it impacted me in any way, shape or form after seeing it on the news, and I immediately said no, but then I stopped and thought, well actually I've only heard about it and I haven't really heard or seen many people explain it very much, so I started looking into it myself. And I don't think it's as big a thing as we initially thought. So I thought, what I'll quickly do is let's make a little video and let's just discuss it. And I thought it'd be a good place for us to sort of touch on it and apply the video game collecting world to it. Please, if anyone wants to put anything in the comments to sort of expand and clarify any points I might make, because I do want to be clear, I am not a tax professional in any way, shape or form. Don't take this as gospel. It's just a chat, chew the fat, and just a little video to sort of go over the main basic point, because there isn't that much to it. But I would say that if you think that after this there is some way you may be impacted, you personally, there's some great references on the gov.uk and the HMRC website. There's a lot of financial institutions that have a lot of stuff online as well to help and support you. But after this, if you do think, oh actually I should probably look into this myself, I suggest you go and use those proper sources and have a little look for yourself. So this is just a friendly chat. So what did happen on the 1st of January 2024? Basically, no changes whatsoever happened to the law on how we pay tax. Everything is exactly the way it has been for a number of years, from what I can tell. The side hustle tax is basically just a term coined for changes that HMRC have introduced to these reselling platforms, places like eBay, Vinted and all the other ones out there. They've basically turned around to them and said that from now on, if your sellers hit one of two different milestones, trigger points within a tax year. Tax year, by the way, obviously is the 6th of April to the 5th of April. It's not January to January, so just a little thing there. If any of your sellers hit one of these two milestones, we just need you to inform us, basically, just to tell them. Doesn't really go into much detail as to what they really tell them, just to inform them. So I'm not entirely sure what that means, but the two triggers are quite clear. The first one I didn't hear much about is if you sell 30 or more items on the platform. I don't know whether that means 30 per platform. I couldn't see anything about, let's say, eBay and Vintage sharing information to see if you've sold 30 in total. I haven't heard anything about that, so I don't think that's the case. But just a very vague, if you've sold 30 or more items, let them know. In the world of video game buying and reselling, 30 items isn't too much. I don't know where the number 30's come from, but you can certainly sell 30 items within 1 year. So maybe you might sort of trigger that threshold, but 30 in the world of gaming isn't too many if you're a reseller. So there's that first one. And the second one is if you sell £1,700 worth of items in total. So that's literally just if you were to sell 17 things for £100, that would trigger that. It's got nothing to do with profit or anything like that, just £1,700 worth of sales in total in the tax year. They need to tell the HMRC about that. That seems like a reasonable. I personally don't come anywhere near that figure. But I could see how some could. If you're buying and selling video games, you haven't got to sell too many decent games. It's a lot of fodder games to sell to hit that. But basically, they're the two trigger points. And all they're going to do, these online reselling platforms, is just tell HMRC if you've hit that milestone. So it's at this point it becomes a little bit different for everyone. All those points before, they're just across the board targets that you have to achieve on these platforms for them to tell HMRC. It's at this point here that individual circumstances get taken into consideration, and it depends on your employment, your benefit status. There's a million and one things that make all of our tax different in the UK. So this is where it all sort of gets murky. You can't just say once you've earned this much on a platform, you have to pay this much into. It's all completely different. But basically what they're saying is, nothing's changed. Absolutely nothing has changed from what it always has been. So if you make £1,000 profit on your side hustle, so this is away from your main employment. HMRC, from what I gather, basically take your main employment based on your monetary gains. So if you've got an employer that pays your tax for you, that's your job. If you're self-employed, it's whichever one pays you more. It's a bit murky, but if you have a look at yourself online, if you're in that situation, they sort of explain it a little bit. But basically, anything you earn over £1,000 through buying and selling your games, you're expected to pay tax on, like you always have. So basically, if you were to make £1,001 profit in this tax year, you're expected to pay tax on the pound because the £1,000 is the threshold. So nothing has really changed. So in the general world of game collecting, if you're just a collector that sells the ones they don't want anymore, let's just say you finally decide to get rid of FIFA 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, you can stick them on vintage, you can make a couple quid, you're fine, no difference whatsoever. Someone like myself, I do go out and purchase from charity shops and car boots, so I do act like a business, so I do just need to consider the profits that I'm earning. So I think last year, the whole free video game collection I made about just under 200 quid or something, so I'm nowhere near the threshold. And the key thing to point out, they're not interested in your CEX vouchers. Rishi and the rest of them have no interest in taxing your CEX vouchers. You're not going to get a letter saying you owe 2 Silent Hills and a Tetris. It's not going to happen. So that's a good thing for myself and for game collectors that are just looking to go out and get some voucher back. It really only is really something to be considered if you're a much bigger reseller, where you go to the car booths, the charity shops, Amazon, anywhere you can, buy these things in with the intention of selling them, and you're selling a number of them across the year for significant profit. But if that is what you're doing, then it's the same tax situation that there's always been. It's just a simple case of these online sellers are sort of informing HMRC, expect this person to potentially need to do a self-assessment form. And that's really it. So at the start of the year, with all this sort of hullabaloo and sort of, oh no, it's going to be terrible, it's not too bad. I mean, I'm not going to get into the political side of things where we start discussing taxing money that you've already paid tax on and all of these different things, but I'm not interested in all of that. There's plenty of different videos that cover that sort of stuff. But in the world of video game collecting, which I do care about, it may impact some of us, but for the majority of us, I think we're okay, actually. I think the CEX charging us more for our manuals is a far more of a concern than that is. So yeah, like I say, please do put anything in the comments if you think you can just add to this, or if I have got anything wrong, which I very well could, please feel free to correct me. But if going over any of this you do think, actually, I should probably take a look into this myself, there's plenty online. HMRC's there as well. Look into it. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. Thank you very, very, very much for watching. Take care of yourself, guys.